Reminds me of a story. There was an usher at a church, and there was an elderly lady, I gotta be careful of my language, came walking in, and he asked her, where would you like to sit? She goes, up front. And he said, well, I don't think you want to sit up front because the minister spits when he talks. And let me put you back here. She says, no, I want to sit up front. She goes, you sure? It's really bad. And she says, son, do you know who I am? He said, no. He says, well, I'm the minister's mom. And the usher says, well, do you know who I am? She said, no. She says, good. I developed this talk over the past year because it started coming up for me to learn. Is anyone having lessons come up for them at this time? Yeah, it's happening. And a year ago last June, I was asked by the minister and the associate minister over in Bremerton to, can you come? It was kind of a weird scenario. They kind of drafted me. And they said, can you come become a member, and then if the congregation allows it and votes on it, become on the board? And I said, well, yeah. And I thought that was going to be a stretch. I said, well, why do you need me? She says, we need leadership. I'm going to Hawaii for 6 months, and Max is looking for another job, and there's not going to be anyone here. And you were just in Kent, where they had no minister for quite a while, and you helped get where they're at today, where Rosella is this wonderful minister who's a good friend of Reverend Darlene's too. That's kind of cool. They're going to team up together with some great classes, I'm sure. So I said, yeah, I can do that. Well, I showed up at the congregational meeting, unanimous, yes, he's a member, yes, he can be on the board. Board meeting right afterward, I was drafted into being president of the board. And then I started looking at the financials and started looking at the state of the building. And I found out real fast the state of the building, because the second Sunday was in June. And those big old swells that we get every so often in June, the ushers, without hesitation, grabbed some buckets. Knew exactly what pew to put the buckets in. And the congregation knew which pew not to sit in. And there was a big 4-foot by 8-foot sign out the front of the church that said, for sale. And I said, okay, so you want me to come in here and do what? Hold this together? While Margie goes off and learns and Max leaves for another job, I don't understand what you want. And they said, can you build leadership? So I said, okay, it's going to take some fun. Well, I had one really great tool with me, this lady named Diane, who was outside painting the whole church with a paintbrush. About that wide. And she goes, God, I'm glad you're here. Someone to work with. So we're painting the church. And she goes, oh, by the way, the roof is leaking. I said, I know, I saw that. I'll buy the shingles, but we just don't have anyone that can get up there. I said, well, that's Tamara knows. I'm a construction dude, And I have a tough time saying no. So I'm up on the roof. She bought the shingles, I got them up there. And by this time it's August, that 100-degree week. And it faces south. I got a heck of a tan though. I got that finished, and guess what? I had 4 or 5 other people wanted to show up and help. One couldn't do anything but sit in the parking lot and split these nails that were all connected because they were for the guns and we didn't have the guns, so he was down there splitting. But it was needed. We needed that. So here we are, Margie takes off and goes, and we're starting to refurbish this church. Oh, and the first thing I said, can we get that sign out of the front of the church? that is not very welcoming. So there's, we had some real estate people on the board, and they said, oh yeah, we can take that down. We can still keep it on the market. And I said, yeah, okay. Keep it on the market. Oh, and by the way, the market was going like this. So it was playing right into my hands, because I thought, this is a beautiful facility, just needs a little elbow grease. So we got the exterior painted, we got the roof done, and all of a sudden someone said, God, it'd be nice to get rid of that old carpet from the 1970s, kind of gold, had worn, right here was worn, and those pews, oh, we're kind of stuck with that configuration. And I said, well, okay, I was over in Kent when that happened. How many were over? Anyone from Kent? Okay. Remember when they got rid of the pews, and then 3 weeks, then they finally got the carpet. Then, oh, by the way, we have to order the chairs. Well, I learned from that mistake. People started buying into this. Yeah, we want that, so we can be fluid. We can change this and make this Sufi dance, and we can change this and make this a big drum circle. We can make a concert. We can do weddings. We can do whatever with our chairs and new carpet. So we did the bid process, $25,000. And here's a church that was barely making the bills. But we saw the potential of what this would do. So we brought it in front of the congregation. We said, okay, here's what we're thinking. And they all bought into it, all but two. And I was telling them what we can do with this. We can expand, we can bring in different energy. And so anyways, get a long story shorter, because ministers tend to go, oh, hi, I recognize you. There are some people I do know from here. That's kind of cool. Anyways, a lady stood up that had been there 3 weeks, liked what was going on. So I'll give you $18,000. Give it. And then another lady says, I'll loan you that 2 years interest free, just because I know that's going to change the church. That was that flow. And everything was just going. We were manifesting things left and right. That flow, everything was just going. And then all of a sudden, March came around. And it was okay, but I started realizing all those nuts. And you read what it said about nuts. I wasn't talking about the people over there or in here. This is surrounded by nuts. Nuts are nagging, unfinished task. That roof was a nagging, unfinished task. The carpet was nagging, unfinished task. The paint on the inside of the walls, we just finished painting this. What a difference, huh? That's a nagging, unfinished task. Well, I'd worked all of that on the church, but I had moved into the house at the same time I started at the church, and realized all these boxes were still sitting there.